let's do that. Okay, there we go. We are recording. So thank you ladies so much for jumping on live, and hopefully we'll be able to get a few other ladies on here too. I will say that Steph really was gonna try and jump on, but it is her little girl's birthday. So that kind of takes priority, you know, 7, that's a big deal. And as you may or may not know, Carla had a surgery on Friday, and she's recuperating. So she's on, but she's not going to be able to talk, and we're not going to be able to see her pretty face. But just know they're both there in spirit. Carla actually is physically there. She can hear what we're saying, so we won't talk badly about her this time. All right, so tonight is a little bit of a different group, just because I know that the ladies who are also going to be watching the recording of this, they are brand new to challenge group. So this is kind of a new challenge group call as well. However, since if they don't show up during our meeting and they don't have questions at the end, then obviously we're not going to be able to answer any of those new questions. But you ladies, if you guys have questions about anything at all, we'll do kind of like a Q&A towards the end. And make sure that everybody's questions are answered. If there's anybody watching this in the replay, ask your questions in the group, and we'll be ready to go. We'll make sure you get those, we get those answered for you. So the first thing is, I want to make sure that everybody is already in the tracker app. You should have received your link already, probably last week or even longer than that. I actually opened that group a couple of weeks ago. So if you should be in that tracker app. If you are not, you have to tell us like ASAP, because we start in that group tomorrow. We've been doing prep week over in Facebook, but we're moving over into the tracker app. It's just easier in Facebook to do a prep week, because I can pop in and go live, and we can do videos that way, longer videos anyways. So that's why we chose to do prep week in Facebook. But starting tomorrow, we all move into the tracker app. So make sure that you are in there. I also posted in our prep week how to log in your Shakeology and when you get your workouts in. So if you're still unsure about the tracker app, make sure you go back and just take a look at that graphic, because we want to make sure that everybody is logging their workouts and drinking their shakes. And we love selfies. So when you're logging something, take a selfie. We want to see your pretty face and, you know, get to cheer you on. So if you want to take a picture of just your shaker cup or your workout equipment, that's fine too. However you want to do it, but we do love to have pictures in our group. It's just, for me, it's a lot more fun to scroll through the feed and see a picture rather than a bunch of words, because personally I don't like to read anything anyways. So remember too that our group is 100% our safe haven. This is where you need to go in to plug in. You share your journey, your struggles, your triumphs. You can share recipes. You can share motivational memes that you find. Funny memes are always welcome too. Like, this is our community to go in and be a community and share things that you think other people will benefit from. If you have questions, ask them. If you have an answer for somebody else's question, answer it. You know, you might actually, I like to say that when you send me a message, you get one answer. But if you send a message or ask a question in the group, you might get 3, 4, or 5 answers, right? So use the group. That is what we are all here for. And I'm certainly not saying, don't message me, put it in the group. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying you'll probably get a quicker response anyways if you go through the group that way. And just remember that the more participation that you put in, the more you're going to get out of what the groups are all about. So hopefully you've gone through the prep week. There was a lot of really good information in there, but if you still have questions, definitely make sure you let us know. And hopefully we can get some of them answered here. If you still do have questions about certain things, let me know. I know that on this call live, we've got some veteran challengers here, but just know, I mean, you guys still might have questions too. We've got a few new things and all that good stuff. Tonight is the night, or tomorrow morning before we get started, you gotta take those before pictures and measurements and all that good stuff. It is so, so very important that you take those before pictures. I cannot even stress it. I know nobody likes to take a before picture. I mean, that's like, we all hate to do that, but after 3 weeks, you're gonna want to see that comparison side by side for sure. This obviously is our weekly challenger call. It's usually the same night, same time. If for some reason, Carla, Steph, or we all can't get on, then we will reschedule this call for a different time. But for the most part, I think we've been doing this for a good several months now, and this is the time, and it's been working out so far. I do like to say that I always try to remember to record. I just don't sometimes. And I even have at the top of my list, it even says record. I have screwed it up and it just happens sometimes. So, I mean, really, if you really, really want the information that we share here, getting on live and seeing you guys on live too, that is definitely something that I would prefer that you guys do as well. So try to make it to this call each week if you possibly can. Try and make it work. Okay, so like I said, tonight's gonna be a little bit different. We'll just kind of see how long the call goes. We usually do a take 3, and that's kind of something that we'll see what the time looks like. If we're pushing 45 minutes to an hour, then we won't go around the board and do take 3. But for our new challengers, what that is I usually just go around however you're positioned in my wheel of Zoom faces. I'll just call on you, and we rate your week 1 through 5. We share the biggest win that you had for that week. And then we have what is your goal for the week ahead. So we're gonna skip that this week. If we're going a little bit longer, we will play that by ear. So what I do wanna share is our movers and shakers, because this is something that we share each week. And this is why, move that. So this is why, how do I get that to be not like that? That, no. Sorry, hold on. There it is, okay. I don't know what I did, but there it is. Okay, so this is why logging and tracking is so important, because I actually go through, I sit down every single Sunday morning and I look through who logged from Sunday of last week through Saturday. So from last Sunday to yesterday, I always go in there and I look to see who logged. So your goal, obviously, is to log all 7 days, but just make sure that you are getting in there and logging. And if you're a new challenger, you know, this might be something that takes you a minute to kind of get into the habit of doing. You know, you make your shake, you snap your selfie, you drink it. Like, you got adding in that layer that I got to take a picture and I got to post it to the group. Like, that's a habit that you're going to have to get into the habit of doing. And the more you do it, the more consistent you are with it, the more natural it's gonna feel. For me, I almost never ever finish a workout without taking a sweaty selfie. Like that's just kind of what I do now. And usually if I don't take a sweaty selfie, that workout in my mind didn't even happen. So take the sweaty selfie, take a picture of your shake and log it into our group. And like I said, this is where I come and I look to see, you know, who's on the board, who's showing up every single day. Because this kind of tells me where you are and allows me to gauge kind of where you're at in your journey too. So definitely post and log. And in the prep week, I did show how to do that for our new challengers. And the most important thing is down at the bottom. I actually talked to 2 of my challengers earlier today, because down at the very bottom of your tab here, it's going to be hard to see. There's a little slider down here at the bottom. You want to make sure that that slider is blue so that your post is shared with the group. So again, that picture graphic is in our prep week. If you have questions about it, just let me know. All right. Okay, here we are. We are back. Okay, I think we've got who we've got on. You guys want to take a picture real quick? Because I don't want to forget that either. Because guess who forgot to do that last week? Somebody other than me. I'm just kidding. All right. You guys up there? You guys ready? Don't worry, Carla. We won't make you take a picture. We'll use what you've got. All right, ready? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Perfect.
Trust me, you don't want to see what I look like right now. If my voice is any indication of what I look like right now, trust me.
You sound really good, though. You actually sound really good. So cool deal.
Thank you.
Okay, so let me get into this.
I just have to say one thing. Ashley, your arms look incredible. I can't stop staring at them. I just had to jump in and say that.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
I'm just like, whoa, look at her arms.
Oh, thanks. I can't wait to see what round 2 does to them.
I know. I'm super excited for round 2.
Thanks.
So awesome. Yay, yay. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and kind of jump into this. Uh-oh. Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. Kind of being weird right now. It's like flashing in and out, but okay. I think that we are ready to go. So tonight I want to talk about life balance and kind of how you can have more of it, because even when you're embarking on this journey, you know, this platform, even just the journey to get healthy is new, and that can be super overwhelming sometimes. So I want to kind of talk about it now so that we can kind of get ahead of it. And a lot of the times I find that, you know, our challengers come in and they're super gung-ho, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to do all the things, and that balance starts to kind of shift, and family starts, you know, kind of getting pushed to the back burner, and people start complaining, and things kind of start getting lost in the shuffle. And I want to get in front of it, because usually when those things happen, the first thing to go is self-care. The first thing that you stop doing when life gets busy is you stop doing things that are going to help you become more productive, have more energy. It's like this vicious cycle of, okay, so I'm super, super busy. I don't have enough time. I'm tired all the time. So I'm just going to sit in front of the TV and watch Netflix. Or I'm just going to, you know, feel sorry for myself and, you know, eat a big, huge bowl of ice cream because I deserve it because I had a crappy ass day. So the first thing that happens when we lose sight of that balance is we let things go that actually directly affect how we perform throughout our day. Because if you want to make sure that you have no energy in the afternoon, early evening, you at lunchtime should go eat the fattest, greasiest burger, a whole basket of French fries, drink a big fat soda, and guarantee come 3 or 4 o'clock, you're like, don't want to do anything. You just want to go home and watch TV, or you want to go to bed. So these are things that I want to kind of touch on and talk about because I don't want that to happen to you guys. Now, note that there will always be better balance. It's a work in progress. So don't stress out when things are not perfect. We all have obligations and responsibilities. We're always on the go. And a lot of the times we are just go, 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 and we're not really getting anything done. You don't feel productive. You're feeling stressed. You feel anxious. And now you're adding this one more element, right? So when you can't get it all done, then you kind of feel like you're a failure and that you'll, you know, never get ahead of it, or you're just destined to be a hot mess, or you're just destined to be unhealthy because you just don't have time in your day to find that balance. But I promise you can do this. I promise that you can get better about having that balance in your life. You know, human behavior shows that our behavior and motivation is directly correlated with understanding why you care about something, why you're doing something, why this is important to you. And one of the biggest keys in that is that you're going to have to start blocking out your time, making specific time for the things that you deem a priority. And then you have to fight like hell to protect that time so that things don't start to kind of push against that. And, you know, I think that a lot of the times when we think about balance, we think about an equal number of hours or minutes to one subject. And that's not the case. It's how balance means how it makes you feel regarding that area of your life. So obviously, you can't have an equal amount of work time if you work full time. You can't have an equal amount of work time as you do family time. Like if you work, you know, 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day at your job and then have an hour of travel time in there as well, you know, that's 11 hours a day. That rest of that 11 hours is not going to be spent on family. It just isn't. But when you start to look at how you feel about how you're spending your time and you start prioritizing those different sections, that's when that balance kind of comes in for you. So the first thing you need to do is you need to figure out why you need balance and where you need it most. And then you've got to prioritize it. You know, do you need more time with your kids, your husband? Do you need to spend more time at work? Do you need to build on relationships that you feel like are kind of waning a little bit? Do you have side projects that you need to work on? Do you do volunteer work? Like these are all things that you're going to have to prioritize, figure out what's important, and then prioritize that. So for me, having balance in a relationship with my parents, for example, is, and this might sound terrible, but I actually have an alarm in my phone. Wednesday mornings, call mom, 10 o'clock. And when I do that once a week, I feel balanced in my relationship with my mom because I have allocated that 30 minutes of time that I'm going to spend and be able to, you know, talk to her. clearly I am not spending the same amount of time on my mom, talking to her on the phone or FaceTiming than I would doing work, right? But if I'm okay with work and I'm spending the hours there, it's balanced. So you have to figure out, what is it that you need to work on, and then prioritize from there. Number 2 is you need to remove all distraction and focus during that allotted time for that particular area. So if you have this block time of working, during that time you have to work. If you're supposed to be spending time with your kids, spend time with your kids. Turn your phone off. Close your laptop. Don't watch a bunch of TV, unless, of course, you're watching it with them, but really watching it with them. But when you're with your kids, be with your kids. When you're on a date night, be on the date night. You have to be in the moment. So you'll be a lot less stressed because you know that you have scheduled time for all of those other areas. So when you are with your kids, you're not worried about, or shouldn't be thinking about, I really should just, my kids will be fine. Let me just give them the iPad and I'm just going to run into the office real quick and do, 5-10 minutes worth of work. Like, that is where that stress comes from. And that's where you're throwing yourself out of balance, because you're not giving your full attention to what you should be spending your time doing. So number 3 is learn to say no. You've got to start setting boundaries. Have no apologies for saying no, and just think of it as the more yeses you hand out, the more balance you are giving away. Now, I am a people pleaser, 100%, and I do not like telling people no. And for many, 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 many years of my life, I was the yes girl, and I was the one who volunteered for every single extracurricular activity my kids did. People just started assuming that I was going to take on, this project for Kaylee's cheer, Robbie's football, basketball, hockey. And literally, I was at a breaking point, and you just kind of throw everything all up in the air, and it's like then nothing gets done. And I am stressed, and you add on that 30, 40, 50 pounds, because what happens when you have too much on your plate? Self-care goes away. You stop working out every day. You stop eating healthy because, oh my gosh, I have this to go to, and I have this meeting, and I have this and this. And so it'll be a lot easier just to get Little Caesars pizza on the way home, right? So you've got to make sure that you protect your time with everything you have. It is so okay to say no. What I do now is I always say, you know what, thank you so much for thinking of me. And what's really cool is, well, let me finish it. So I always say, thank you so much for thinking of me. Let me take a look at my schedule and let me see if that's something that I can actually do. I don't want to take something on that I'm not going to be able to finish or accomplish. And those are things that, those are just words that you can say to kind of put somebody off. If you get real brave, you can just say, you know what, I'm sorry, I don't have time for that. Thanks for thinking of me. I appreciate it. Next time something comes up, let me know, and we'll see if maybe we can make it work. So you kind of get used to saying no, and now I have no problems now saying no to anybody. But I'm telling you, it took years and years and years of practice doing it. And here's what I was going to say. When you start doing that, people stop assuming that you are going to help, and they're going to stop asking. And to me, awesome. Mission accomplished. Yes, please have somebody else do that. And the other thing was, I always thought, well, I have to do it, right? I have to do it all, because if I don't do it, then it's not going to get done, or someone's not going to do it as well. And you know what? If something needs to get done, whoever's asking for that from you, they'll figure it out, or they'll ask somebody else who hasn't quite gotten to the point where they know that saying no is okay. So don't be that girl. Saying no is absolutely 100% okay to do. And then of course, say yes. If it's something that you want to do, say yes. If that's something that, you know, means something to you, then if you have time to do it, by all means, do it. Number 4 is be explicit about your time and stick to your schedule. So if you have a meeting and you've got 45 minutes, when you start that meeting, you say, all right, well, here we go. I've got 45 minutes. Let's go. And stick to that. Be 100% determined to stick to that schedule. Of course, you know, life happens, things happen, that time sometimes is going to go over. That's what I call bleed time. But if you set an allotted amount of time, you really, really want to try to stick to it. So bleed time is, you know, what absolutely kills that balance. And what I mean by that is, so for example, if you have lunch with a friend, I am so guilty of this, I cannot even tell you. And you're like, oh my gosh, we'll just go have lunch really, really quick. 3 hours later, you know, this was supposed to be something that you did for an hour. And yeah, you're having a great time and it's wonderful. And yeah, you might feel balanced in that one relationship at that moment. But now you're out of balance because you just screwed yourself for having 3 or 4 hours worth of work to do for the rest of that afternoon. I have absolutely done that because, you know, you sit down and you're having a good time and the conversation's going and you don't want it to end. But sometimes you have to adult a little bit and know that you have this schedule and you've got other responsibilities and you want to stay in balance with your life. Then you got to cut that time off when it comes time to cut it off. And if you need to, you know, use your phone, schedule an alarm. I mean, I have never, ever, ever had anybody say to me, you know, when we do go to lunch and I'm like, okay, I got 90 minutes. I am out the door in 90 minutes. Set my alarm for an hour, 15 minutes. Never once have I had somebody say, oh my gosh, that is so rude. Like, never. If somebody doesn't like that, then you shouldn't have lunch with them anyways, right? That's personally, it's all good. Like, use your phone. It's not a big deal. And just remember, that bleed time is what kills your balance. So a quick drink after work, you know, that's something that should take maybe an hour. That can turn into 3 hours all night, and then you're feeling crappy the next day. See how it's kind of like this snowball effect. So, you know, make sure that you use your alarms and you stick to your schedule as best you can. Okay, number 5. This is one of the most important ones, I think, and that is self-care. You got to stay healthy, or you got to get healthy, and you have to stay healthy. And you're thinking maybe, you know, why? How does that have to do with anything? But you need to get more sleep. You need to drink more water. You need to eat to fuel your body. You need to get moving. You need to exercise, because you're going to then be more focused throughout your day. You're going to be more productive. You're going to be efficient and effective. So you're going to get more done during that day, which causes a lot less stress, a lot less anxiety. And when you become stronger and more confident, you're able to say no. You can make better choices. And you can learn how to self-manage and really regulate your time. So you've got to start planning and creating a schedule. You got to block out that time for the things that are really important to you. Create a game plan for what your day, your week, your month should look like. Tweak it as needed, but stick to it as best that you can. And these are kind of just some of the most important habits that I feel like you really need to focus on right away. Because like I said earlier, sometimes when we embark on a new journey, these important areas in our life get pushed to the side. And when that happens and other people start complaining about it, the one area that you start to then push to the side is you. The area of self-care is what usually is first to go. So I hope all of that makes sense. Let me recap for you real quick what those 5 tips are. The first one was why do you need balance, and what areas do you need balance in? Number 2 is remove all the distraction and stay focused on the task at hand. Learn to say no. So for all you people pleasers out there, it is very important to start having that confidence to tell people no. Number 4 is be explicit about your time. Stick to your schedule. And number 5 is get healthy and stay healthy. So, I want you guys to be successful, and I struggled a ton before I started creating a schedule and daily to-do lists. But, these are habits, and you can't expect to get it right away, right out the gate. You're like, this is perfect. I'm going to have a perfect schedule. Life happens, and you're going to get thrown off. You're going to have bad days. But here's the key, and here's the key to everything that we kind of are about in our challenge groups, right? It's something that I want you all to think of, and that is you just have to do your best and let that be good enough. Because when things throw you those curveballs, you go over those speed bumps, you're going to be just fine as long as you have the intention to get back to balance, as long as you have the intention to get back on track. That is the key to everything. You are never going to be perfect. Nothing is ever going to flow exactly as it should be. But you might have 1, 2, 3 days there where they're like, this was a perfect day. But then you're going to have other days where you're like, oh my gosh, this was a hot mess day. Nothing that I wanted to get done got done. But you know what? You start your next day with the intention to get back to balance. And just remember, there is no such thing as a perfect schedule or perfect balance. Those are things that you'll get better at tweaking and knowing what works for you as time goes on. So let me see. Okay, let me open the chat. Okay, Rach, hope you ate your dinner. Perfect. Okay. Yes, the calls are my favorite part of coaching too. Carla, this is the best. Okay, Jelaine, speaking of balance. Okay, so Jelaine had to pop off. Perfect, and that's exactly right. You have things that are scheduled, and just make sure that you stick to those times. And just know that when you have time, you should have blocked out times. So our calls usually last. My goal is to keep these calls at 45 minutes, no longer than an hour, because I know it's Sunday and we're all starting a new journey tomorrow, new round tomorrow. So, I want everybody to have a good night's sleep for sure too. So, my goal is to 45 minutes to an hour, if less then less. Awesome. So do you guys have any questions about anything that I talked about tonight? And if you have any questions about anything, now would be a good time. I'll open it up to Q&A. So just unmute yourself if you have any questions. If not, then we will have gained some time and we'll just end the call. And now you can squeeze in a little bit of a Netflix time.
I actually have a couple.
Yeah, go ahead, Rach.
Now, I know I had asked you already, Charlene, about the Energize, but I wanted to get everyone else's opinion. It is really sour for me, and it is hard for me to drink it. I don't do sour very well. It makes me gag. Is there anything that I can do to sweeten it or make it easier for me to take? Because I like what it does. I just don't enjoy drinking it, unfortunately.
Have you tried adding more water to it than the 8 ounces it says you should add? Because maybe if you
No.
dilute it a little bit more, it might be easier for you to drink. I know that if I add a little bit more water to mine, it usually is not as tart.
Okay.
So that's the only thing that I've ever tried that's worked for me. So that could be something that maybe you just add a little bit more water than you normally do.
Okay. I'll give that a shot in the morning.
See,
Because I don't.
a perfect reason why we ask a group rather than one, because I said the exact opposite, and I said water and take it like a shot. So again, there you go. There's another suggestion for you that you would I'm glad you're here.
I've never done the shot thing. I'm too scared of the shot thing, so I've never tried that, so I can't suggest that because I don't know what it would be like. Sherlani can tell you what it's like. I can't.
Because you saw that video where it came out my nose, huh? Yeah. So I will say regarding Energize, what you don't do is you don't put it on your tongue and inhale, because it'll automatically make you cough, and a plume of yellow smoke will come out your nose. It's the funniest thing, and I really wish I had that Snapchat video because it was pretty funny. But I don't suggest that. But you can put it on your tongue. Do not breathe. Take a glass of water and chug it that way. I do that it depends on if I have a small whisk clean or not. This is how I do mine. That's another suggestion for you. But it's tart that way. I mean, you definitely taste it.
Yeah. Now, when you do drink the Energize and you use it, can you work out that immediately after you're finished, or do you have to finish it and then wait and then work out? Like if I add more water and I have more than a cup and I'm not finished with it by the time I start working out, can I still?
So you want to.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you want to finish it before you work out. And
Okay.
a lot of times you'll know when you're ready to work out when you start getting the tingles. Let's clear this up about Energize right now. And this, as just a disclaimer, this doesn't affect everybody the same way. But Olgeen, who was on here just a minute ago, it makes you itchy. And it makes it feel like you've got ants crawling on you until you start moving and getting the blood flowing. But when you start to feel that tingle, which I love now, because now that means, okay, I'm ready to go, and I go. The very first time I took it, I did not know that and was like, I'm having an allergic reaction. And I wasn't. I was fine. It takes a minute or so for those, once you start working out, for it really to subside. And I can't think of off the top of my head what is in Energize that does that. There is the lysine, I don't know, something like that. But it's all natural, so you're good to go. Just know that is going to happen. I don't know why I forget to tell people that, because I had such a reaction. My husband had that was his reaction. He was like, what's going on? So just expect that. If you've never had a pre-workout type of a drink, that could definitely happen. And it's normal, so don't freak out. Just start working out, and then it goes away.
How long does it normally take before?
To go away?
No, for it to start
Different. For me, it's about 5-10 minutes.
Okay, so it's not that long. Okay.
It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick.
And then my other question was the tracker sheets for the ladies that have already done 80-day. the trackers, do you just track the weights and the loop that you use, or do you also track like how many reps you were able to do? Or, you know, I know you're supposed to do 10, but like just starting out, I don't normally do weights. So I've got the lightest, you know, weights that are for my capability, but I didn't know if you would track.
And it's totally up to you. You can write whatever you want on there. Obviously, yeah, it's a good, the more you document, the more you'll be able to see your progress. So I've always just tracked my whatever loops I was using, what weight I was using, so that what I started doing was from that workout to the next week, because sometimes between the weeks it's the same workout but you're doing different reps, which means that sometimes you want to go heavier on the weight, sometimes you want to go less. So it depends on what it is that you're doing. But when you have those worksheets in front of you and you track your weight, you know if you can go up or you can go down. And if I had my binder here, I would pull out one of my trackers, because I would, so in like the first series going through, I would write, okay, so I used 8 pounds, and I would put a little plus next to it, meaning telling myself I could go up the next time I do this. Or I would put a minus, like, nope, that was way too much. Like, slow your roll. Go down a weight. So that's how I would keep track of that. And then every day for the first phase, I wrote how I felt at the end of my workout on the bottom. It was like my own journal.
Yeah, I did I made myself a binder because I'm a lot like you and I have to have everything all pretty. And I have the tracker sheets all laid out, and then I put in a couple sheets of like loose leaf after each day so that I can journal not only my exercise but like how the day went, if there's anything you know, with my eating, how that went, if I need to tweak my schedule, stuff like that. So
perfect.
On my tracker sheet too, sometimes there were certain days, like I'd start with a 10-pound weight, and like halfway through the set of 15, I'm like, this is way too easy. And I'd jump up, and then I would mark on there, like I did the first 8 with the 10 pounds and then the last 7 with the 15-pound weights or something like that. So I would do that, or doing push-ups, start on my toes, and sometimes my shoulder would bother me and I dropped to my knees and, you know, note half of them toes, half of them on my knees. So I did the same thing and just marked if I made changes even in the middle of the set of reps that I was doing on my tracker sheet also. And then I'd pull them out like the next time we did it and look back at what I did and have it next to the same workout for the current day, so I could compare and like, where was I the last time I did this, and be able to adjust accordingly. So
okay. Thank you, ladies.
You're welcome. I'm so excited for you to go through this.
I'm scared shitless, but I'm excited too.
All were, and I am as well. Like, I'm going back, and so full disclosure, I got to day 76. That's just, and I have to be okay with it, because there's no way I'm going to be able to make that up. My knee and my ankle, knee on one leg, ankle on the other, and I'm like, you know what? My goal now this is to get through 80 days. And like I said, I have to be, and I am totally okay with getting to day 76. I mean, it is what it is. So next time, but I will not let myself get that 80-day obsession shirt. Like, I'm not going to get the tank this time. I have to go through the 80 days. And that will push me to make sure that I stick with the workouts and get everything done, because I will absolutely be submitting it. Because I want that tank so bad, and you guys are getting yours, and I'm like, oh, I'm not gonna have mine. But I'll get it. I'll get it. It's all good.
did anyone else submit their results and get their tank already?
I think Cindy got her tank.
I submitted mine, and I just got the notification. I think it was yesterday that it was shipped out.
Okay, so you didn't get an email prior to the ship out date? Okay.
No.
'Cause I submitted and didn't get anything back. So I was like, did it go through? Did it
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about because I can't remember. I think it was Samantha. She had gotten hers, so I commented on hers, and she said that she got an email saying that her results were accepted, and then an email that it had been shipped out. But I didn't get that result one either. So
Okay.
I got a shipping notification. Yeah, I think it was yesterday, and I had even called them, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it got sent out. Yes, like the day before I called them." So.
How did you submit yours like right away? How long did it
Yeah,
take?
on the 15th, and then like the 15th of April, and then I just got the shipping notification yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would assume, I don't know, I'm just assuming they're super busy because I thought maybe it was because I was in Canada, but I have a friend in Calgary who submitted hers and she got her tank top like right away.
So let me just explain a little bit of the process with 80 Day Obsession. This was a brand new launch. This was the largest launch that Beachbody has ever had. And it really, really, like, I mean, I want to say they hired like hundreds of people to try and keep up because as you guys know, Energize got short there. Things were back ordered. I mean, it for a minute was a hot freaking mess. So the very fact that you guys, people are getting their shirts before other people and they might have, that doesn't surprise me at all. What I do know is that Beachbody always has corrected an issue and they have always followed through. So Jen, I would call and just make sure that they got your results to begin with. Just make sure that they at least have that and know that you're in the queue. Because chances are you probably are. It's just they're so backed up on the new things that happen with 80 Day Obsession. And this was the new thing was everybody submitting their results because there were thousands and thousands and thousands of people who submitted their results on the 15th because everyone was so excited to do that. All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? No? Okay, cool. Well, thanks for getting on, ladies. Hi, Miley. I'm glad you got to jump on. Okay, so same time next week. To all of our challengers who are going to be watching this replay, yay for starting a new chapter. And I'm so excited to see everybody's results. For the ladies who are going into round 2 of 80 Day Obsession, I think the focus here should just be stick to the plan and don't do the, oh, I've done this before. I don't need to measure. I don't need to do this. I don't need to do that. I know what to expect. Because that's definitely something that I am guilty of most of the time. Whenever I start a second round of something, I kind of go to the way of it and just know that you want to give it your all if you want those same results because the results for the first phase or the first round were amazing. So I am so excited to see where everybody's going to be. And we will have the same call, same time next week. We kind of like to have the feel of what these groups are doing in the group, and then we will decide the topic for next week when it gets closer to the end of the week. All right, ladies, I hope you have a great night, and we will see you in the group. All right.
Have a good night.